Hello, Drew. Wednesday
Hello,
night again. We are back. We were meant to be joined, ladies and gentlemen, tonight by Dakota, but he's got storms over there and deep snow, and he's probably up to the top of his head in snow, you know.
He'll be building a snowman.
Yep. What do you think of that trailer? That's the trailer that comes with StreamYard. I'm going to get a proper one made, you know.
Yeah, we need to get something spooky.
So tonight, talking about Loch Ness, we're going to be talking about Aleister Crowley. We're going to talk about what his real name was. Good evening, Chris and Drew. Facebook user, you need to click the wee thing above so as I don't know what your name is. Don't know who it is. So if you want to click that wee bit above. Do we have any statements to make tonight, Drew?
Yes, I think we've got some. Uncle Danny's in. Uncle Danny. Yeah, I think we've got a couple of things that we not necessarily got wrong last week about the history.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the history is all over the place. So some stories are a little bit of truth in them and not a lot of facts. So yeah, just kind of address that, Christopher.
Just to address the fact of the Grey Friars and stuff like that, we might have got some of the history wrong slightly. Yes, I'll admit we shouldn't have used online things, but we didn't have access to all the vaults and the books and the documents, right? Somebody tried to make a comment on the channel last week to try and speak to us, but I have got overzealous bots, right? If they use certain swear words, doesn't matter what it is, it's flagged instantly, took off, but I'll make sure it's put back. I'll put it back. I did not know because I did not check, and I am silly. But what would you like to say about Greyfriars Graveyard, Drew? Would you like to say anything about that?
Well, Greyfriars, if we do go back, guys, we will be asking for permission and things to go back because nobody's allowed to officially do a ghost hunting Greyfriars anymore because of people did get barred a few years ago because the different things that happened with putting scopes and things down Mr. Mackenzie's tomb. So
and that's I mean that's classed as grave robbery, but it's not classed as grave robbery. It's actually sacrilege to like put a camera into a grave. And you know that I actually did a live with this guy that actually did it with the camera, right?
Yeah.
And the link below this video will be in the description, and you can see his videos. You can see him actually putting the scope in. You can see all the pictures. So I think just to put things straight, you know, keep things new and hopefully move on, you know. So I've not put the link in yet, but I'll put it in after sometime. I'll probably do it when this uploads, you know. So anyway, who are we talking about tonight?
We are talking about the man himself, Aleister Crowley.
He's an interesting character. Now I've actually downloaded
welcome Shell, welcome Bobby, welcome Uncle Danny, welcome Stephanie.
I know I need to bring up my chat. I need to get a third iPad or something. I've got 3 screens open. Here we have the man himself, right? Aleister Crowley. And yes, it is Aleister Crowley. We'll have the fact checkers in the chat next week. That's not Aleister Crowley. That's not Aleister Crowley. That's Jim Bob, and he lives in the Highlands, and his name's Pete.
And you know something? It's actually 75 years tomorrow of his death, the 1st of December, which is really quite coincidental that we do this tonight. Very strange.
I never planned this. I wasn't going to do it this Wednesday because on Saturday, but then I thought, I'm not doing nothing on Wednesday, so why don't we just do a live? So I planned it at the weekend and put it up. But here's another interesting picture of him that I think you'll find quite interesting.
See, the Illuminati is linked to his... Crowley wanted himself to be known as an occult figure, not just to be the occult figure. He was, to let you understand, the people that don't know about Crowley, he actually got a book, this is his story, he got a book delivered to him, and I think it's a book called, again, I've got the name it wrote down here, the Book of Law got delivered to him. This is what he says. And in the Book of Law, he has 3 entities who now decide to talk to him and through him get the teachings out, if you like. And his wife, Rose, also had a part to play in it, because she did actually start to communicate with these three entities, and it was through these entities, through her, that pushed out Crowley's beliefs and things.
You want
And
to
the
see one of
Illuminati
the
has got
entities
a
in
kind of
question?
the entities. See, it's not really. He wanted to be known as a prophet, but he pushed everything so far. I mean, some of the things he did was really, really satanic. You couldn't even really talk about them. It's really, to be honest with you. But when he bought that Boleskine house, or whatever you call it, he bought that to do his workings and do his teachings, if you like, there, because it was supposed to be a church way back, 300 years before it was built. And the priests in it, well, the ministers, priests, whatever in it, were meant to have actually been sacrificed by Satanists in that area. How true that is, I don't know. It's obviously just things that people say.
You would have to research this, right? You would have to check it out fully, right? I mean, I found it quite interesting. I was reading the Aleister Crowley there, and wait, I'll read this to you. Aleister Edward, did you know that was his first name? Edward Alexander Crowley, born October the 12th, 1875, at Royal Lamington Spa, England. He died in the 1st of December 1947. I mean, I never planned this, and that's what I find this kind of spooky. Did you know that this is what his pastimes was? British occultist writer and mountaineer. I didn't get that.
Yeah, he did climb the K2. Well, he attempted to climb the K2. Him and, I can't remember the man. I didn't even write that down. But he did attempt to climb K2, yeah. He was a mountaineer.
Yeah. He's actually quite a fascinating person. I mean, I'm really fascinated with this place, his house.
Yeah. It was said when there was a fire, there was 2 fires on it. In the first fire, when they were clearing it out, they did find nails and things that was 300 years older than the building. So they do believe that could be either a man's house that was built on the property, or a chapel, sorry. But there was a lot of Catholics in the area there, so there could be some truth to the fact of the house being built on the area of the deaths of some priests, and that's what made it so powerful a place as well.
See, you got to remember, it's not that far for the Loch Ness, and it's I mean, it's quite close. Aye, and you've got to remember that region was really famous for its castles, right?
Yeah.
And how do we know there's no a lot of religious stuff tied to these castles? And see, I know I don't usually talk about these subjects on this channel because it's more like spiritual, it's ghost stuff and that. But there's a lot of UFO sightings here. There's a lot of supernatural sightings, right? I think this area is rich, and I think that's why he lived here. He knew that there was so much energy to harness.
Yep, definitely.
That's what's left of it now. What's your thoughts on that? I mean,
there's been 2 fires in the building. There was one fire, as I said, and they read it up and things, and they found the nails. But then there was another fire as well. But they are in the process of trying to get it set up to be a museum. So it is in the process of being rebuilt right now. You can donate to it and things and help the process of it being rebuilt.
We're planning on going, aren't we, Drew? In the summertime, me, you, Alan, we're actually going to take some other people. We'll have to be secret about that because they're kind of celebrities, you know, they're on TV. But I think that'll be really, really interesting. I mean, of course, we'll have to talk about Loch Ness when we get to this subject, don't we? We've got to talk about this subject, haven't we? I mean, we're Scottish. We have to give advertisement.
It makes you wonder, though. I mean, could Nessie be an ancient alien? And that is why the connection's there as well. I mean, you don't know what Nessie is. there could be loads of them under the water in the secret caves and tunnels, and that which makes the energy so powerful there as well. Because there's loads of locks around that area.
It's weird you say that, Drew, and I'll tell you why. Because I actually had this thought the other night, and Dakota was meant to be joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but he's having terrible weather. Hope he's okay. Be safe, Dakota. But right, everybody's like, there's a creature lives in the loch, right? And there's other lochs round about Loch Ness that's meant to have these other creatures, right? Now, everybody goes on about ghosts and spirits, say monks and people fighting and battles and stuff like that. What happens if it's a ghost, like a dinosaur or something? What happens if it is an actual spirit? What happens if it's an actual spirit, right? Or, I mean, some people say, yeah, it could be a giant eel, right?
That's the famous one, isn't it?
But here's the thing. Every time they've went up and down Loch Ness with their sonar and their radar and everything else they use, all their kind of bits and bobs, which I don't have a clue what they use, before any fact checkers come back and say, yes, my pulsolator 5000, you're talking about the pulsolator 5000. I don't have a clue, right? So if you're into this kind of thing, you hunt Nessie, you're welcome to come on and tell me. It's always come up with nothing. But there is tunnel systems. There is meant to be tunnel systems that link all the other lochs out and get into the sea.
Yeah.
Which they say that it's using it. It's highly intelligent, and it's like, oh, right, here's something coming to find me. I'll swim into the sea. What's your opinion in the chat, and what's your opinion, Drew?
Well, the thing is that Nessie's been around for that long. I mean, it's a standard thing in Scotland. All the tourists need to go see Nessie. But for the amount of time that it's lasted for everybody to see Nessie, I mean, I do believe Dakota's seen it as well. It makes you wonder, it's got to be that there's a place it's hiding, and it's known for caves up there, especially underground caves and things. So Nessie's definitely up there, and probably a family of them. It's just that not all of them come to the surface.
But what are they? I mean, are they like a rare type of dinosaur that's highly intelligent, right? That's maybe survived all this time? Or is it something else? Is it something darker? Is it something maybe that was conjured there? When was the first reported sight in Ness? When was the first? That's something I should really have looked up. When was the chat? When was the first fact checkers in the chat? When was the first reported sighting of Nessie, the Loch Ness monster?
See, it's possible for creatures to be hiding and commuting through the underground caves. Definitely. I mean, getting back to Crowley as well, he also, I don't know if you know, but the religion that he kind of practiced was called Thelmatic. They were kind of called. And the Illuminati actually practice the exact same. Well, if there is an Illuminati, actually practice the exact same religion, if you like. It's actually the same thing.
Yeah.
So when I've seen Crowley with that thing on his hat, that just looks exactly like the Illuminati symbol.
Well, they've got the symbol, which I find very interesting.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole. See, they did actually. There was 3 laws of Thelma that they lived by. Wait, I'll get them up. I took them down earlier on. The 3 laws of Thelma. This is what their principles really are. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Meaning that adherents of Thelma should seek out and follow their true path, find or determine their true path. This is our second one. Every man and every woman is a star, and its reference is to the body of light, said by Plato to be composed of the same substances as the stars, and that persons doing their wills are thereby like stars in the universe, occupying a time and position in space, yet distinctly individual and having an independent nature largely without undue conflict and without other stats. Love is the law, love under will, i.e., the nature of the law of Thelma is love, but love itself is subsidiary to its findings. So basically, it's a very selfish practice. It's everything's
Yeah.
based on doing everything that you want. So if you want it, take it and feel that it's a power above that's calling you to do it. So
Yeah.
Illuminati is much like that as well. So there you go, yeah, the Illuminati.
Yeah. It's he's a
Did you
very
not say
interesting.
before I had a dream about Crowley?
I can't mind exactly. Now, it's really going to watch this back. I'm not
Right.
going through your voice messages to quote. I can't remember when you told me this. Yeah, I think it was last week sometime. It was Saturday or
Right.
Sunday. And he actually told me that when he came to Loch Ness, right, he seen Nessie. It was on the History Channel. It's actually, was it Discovery or History? It's one of the two, I'll find out. And he come home and then he said he had a visitation from Crowley.
Right.
I mean, Dakota, that's why I was hoping that he would come on tonight because he knows a lot about this kind of stuff. I mean, a really lot about this kind of stuff. I'm looking at that Thelma the New, which I find what was it? Aleister Crowley, 1875 to 1947. That's when he. Aye. I mean,
He's
do you know?
very interesting. I do believe that he started off because of the time that he started it. I do believe he kicked off that interest in witchcraft, occultism, and things. But the roads that he took it down led to a lot deeper. I do believe that I'm talking about Britain alone. I'm not so much about American things, but I do believe doing the research on Crowley that he was the first one that basically had the guts to bring out witchcraft, occultism, and things.
Yeah.
So Satanism and things in Britain stemmed off from that. Is definitely there. I mean, even the Hell's Fires Club started with Crowley. Crowley and
Aye.
things in their belief systems was what the Hell's Fires Club and things was based on as well. So I don't think people realise just how much Crowley had a big part to play in a lot of the darker history.
Mm-hmm.
Occultism and things, especially around about Britain, because you can trace them to the Hell's Fires Club and everything
Mm-hmm.
through research. So that's amazing
It's
to
quite
find
interesting
out
what Dobby
that.
Sock says. Personally, I don't think Crowley knew exactly what he was getting himself into with the craft. I mean, I don't know about the craft, right? I'm more into ghosts and I'm also into the kind of ETs and kind of stuff like that. But Drew, you're coming for like like white witchcraft and that kind of stuff. You'll know more about this than what he was actually dealing with. Because I see there's actually a picture here that's actually on Wikipedia. I'm not putting it up because it'll probably be copyrighted. But there's a picture here, and it's one of his like servants, and they've got like the book, and he's got like a wand in his hand, and he's got a crystal ball, which is
Basically, he was channeling demons. It got to the stage where he was channeling certain demons, I do believe, and try to work through, try to take their guidance, if you like, to get a better life, better everything. But he wasn't just doing that, he was sacrificing people, and the people he had around him as well were sacrificing people. And I think it just got out of hand. I
yeah.
mean, orgies and things like that,
That's right. I've heard that.
and
It was
things.
actually
I mean,
I'll tell you who told me about that, and I still miss it to this day. Is Mike the Naked Bigfoot?
right?
He was actually I was having a conversation one day, and I brought up the name Aleister Crowley, and it was him that brought trust Mike to bring that up about orgies and stuff. But that's yeah, but that's a story for another time, ladies and gentlemen. But but it's. I mean, I don't say the names of the demons, but what type of demons was he bringing through? Because obviously you don't name demons.
He's see the thing was his wife was channeling these beings, and they were the ones that he was taking all his guidance from, and he did write a couple of books, remember, and a lot of his books are based on what he was being told by these entities through like the seances. And so basically I think he did make a connection to the higher ranking demons, if you like,
Yeah.
and they were finding a way into our world through him and his beliefs. And he was so easily manipulated as well with people
Yeah.
around him. They were
Yeah.
glory to everybody that worked with him. He actually started a lot of people's belief systems. They be Satanists and things. You'd need about 3-4 hours to go right deep into it. I mean, Dakota probably knows a lot better than me about how it all gets started.
I was
it's
Dakota.
crazy.
Get through the snow, Dakota. Get through the snow and get to your house. Get to the house. You know. But if
basically wanted to be a god. The people that followed him did believe that when he died, he could have god status as well because he was such a
he had a fascination. He had a fascination. Now, where's this photo with the pyramids?
Mm-hmm.
He had
It was all ancient. Yeah, it was all ancient Egypt beings that was supposed to communicate through him. So who knows if the alien part's there as well?
Well, here, that's what I'm going to bring up. This is one of the drawings that's associated with him. Now, I don't know if he did this drawing or it was other drawing, but I found it on a kind of a reputable site talking about Aleister and the beings that used to visit him.
Yep.
Now, that does. I'm only going to say this once. If MD says any fact checkers check this out there and say, "Oh, that looks like a guy I know," well, there's something seriously wrong with the guy, right? He's not from around here, as one would say, right?
But he did go to Cairo to do. I think he went to Cairo to do some whatever it was, and then he came back, and then all this kind of started. Is when he get the book. He said he get the book delivered, and then the prophets started talking through his wife and things. So it did all start in Cairo. So who knows if something in Egypt has attached to him?
I mean, if you look at that, Drew, like that's one of his markings there. I mean, you just need to look at it. You've got the crosses on their side, right? You've got the ram's head at the top. You've got the snake round the woman. Now, is that meant to be Eve? Is that meant to be Eve, and that's meant to be the serpent?
See, it could be Lilith as well. I mean, one of the deities type of things. Once you get into it, is Lilith's father, I do believe. There's loads of the more deeper you get into it, you do start placing some of the history to the gods and the goddesses and things with some of the pantheons that he follows. That's what I'm saying. You need like a couple of hours to explain it, but the pantheons and things that he ends up taking his guidance and things from, some of them have got connections to Lilith and things like that. So it could be Lilith that's actually represented in that. And a lot of people
Can you tell us more about Lilith?
See, Lilith has got two parts to her. She has got her demon side. She's got her demon side, and she's also got her goddess side. So she's a goddess. She's a goddess that's got two personalities, if you like. She is for the underworld, much like Hecate is, whereas she's a good. She can go either way. She's one of the goddesses that has got a split personality, if you like. If you're good to her, you live by her rules, and you do as she asks, and you atone to the things that she wants you to do, much like Hecate, and you're dedicated to it, you're okay. But if there's anything you do that does go against her principles and things, once you decide that you're going to go underneath her worship, if you do things that go against what you know in your heart she wouldn't let you to do, then that's when you face her wrath. Much like any god or goddess, if you know you're doing something that they don't want you to do, you do face their wrath for that. But Lilith and things has got a bigger way of punishing you, I do believe, than a lot of the other gods and goddesses, such as maybe just what you call her, Bridget and things. Bridget and things wouldn't want to punish you in a way that would do you harm, but whereas Lilith and things would scold you to a place where you would know that you did wrong, and that's a kind of demon side in her, if you like.
See, this is so interesting, Drew. You know so much. I didn't know you knew this kind of stuff. This is really interesting. I'm getting to see a side of Drew here that I never really knew.
See, there's to do with all the pantheons and the gods and things. It's all intermingled, and that is where a lot of the demons and things come into it, because they are fallen angels after all, you know. So it just depends on a lot of its history.
I mean, there is people out there going to say there's got to people like, oh, why it was extraterrestrials and stuff like that, and then it was demonic and it was demons, and I do believe it's a mixture of everything. And I would see that book there. See that book that's in front of him. What's that called? Do you know what that's called? Because I would love a look at that.
That is probably the book. Is the Eons of Horus. He wrote his own book. Remember, he did go on to read Eons of Horus. Is what he wanted.
If Amazon sell it.
See, that is why a lot of the. I think that is why a lot of the Egyptian stuff come into play. And who knows if he did see aliens and things through some wife's vision. Who knows? I mean, out there could have been lost in fires, just not taught about. There was in the middle of writing that he did to finish, things like that. Who knows what's all in all that?
He's a very interesting individual, and I'm going to buy that book. I'm going to read it. I'm just going to buy that book because I'm going to see.
There's loads of books, Chris. I think he's got 3 or 4 books you can read.
I'll go for the first one. I'll go for the first one, then work my way through them. It'll probably take me a while because of my dyslexia, but it'll take me a while.
Well, think about it. The Eye of Horus. There's your Egyptian connection as well.
Yeah, that's Egyptian.
Horus is one of the Egyptian gods. And then that also links your Illuminati and things as well. So there is a lot of truth in when you start researching it and you start seeing these religions and these deities and these pantheons all turning up over and over again. You do see the connection.
Right, you can see the pyramid on his hat there, his crazy looking hat, right? Right, you get that in the dollar bill. You get that in the American dollar bill, the all seeing eye. It's got other names. It's got other names too, but it makes you wonder if some of his followers broke off after he died, right, and created their version, their kind of version. Their religion, his religion. I mean, it's an earthquake there. I think we're having an earthquake there.
I was putting my feet. I was unfolding my legs. I think that is why there has been a lot of break off religions from what he was trying to teach. I think that is why a lot of the Satanisms and things have went away and they've done like their own little covens, and people have went to witchcraft. People have went to Wicca. There's a Wicca connection as well, where Wicca spent off to some of Crowley's beliefs.
Now, I don't know the truth in this, but I was listening to this a guy talking about it last night. He was talking about it on YouTube. He was actually doing a talk, and there's actually speculation that L. Ron Hubbard himself practiced what he practiced, and he kind of manipulated it and turned it into Scientology.
Well, that's it as well. The Scientology part's there as well.
Yeah. Which
is all connected. I mean, he was told he was going to be a prophet. That is what his vision was, if you like. That is what he got the download about once he came back from Egypt. So thinking back on what happened after Crowley did start coming out with it, he is a bit of a prophet because he did start the movement of people start wanting to start practicing witchcraft, looking further into occultism and things. So he really... was the downloads his wife was getting to teach, were they really, really true? Because he has been the one out of everybody, Hubbard as well, I suppose, in America, that has kept pushing this religion. And it's taken off now that we're into 2022. But maybe that's what it was supposed to always be, was to take this long.
A really interesting fact, right? And I've just noticed that, and it was thank you, Dobby Sock in the chat. Look at our chat. It says, look at his thumbs. I think there's a lot of hidden messages in this picture. There is definitely hidden message here. Now, listen, if you want Dobby or Danny, if you want to come into the chat, I can post the link for you to join. Who's that? Is that Connie's World? Yes, we're Scottish, by the way. That's why you can't understand us.
We'll try and talk a little bit clearer, sorry. I do believe some of the visions and the downloads he was getting wasn't believed away back then because it was so outrageous. But now we're in 2022, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah. It would... I mean, I've heard that he's made predictions for the future. I'm going to go and look them up tonight, and I'm going to see if any of them's coming true.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way the world's going now, I mean, we need to visit that house. That's that.
Yeah.
That's one. That's
The
on our
energy
bucket
should
list.
be on point.
Oh, this house is meant to be built in a ley line and everything. There's a
Yeah.
ley line at his house. He's next to one of those haunted castles in Scotland. Then it's meant to have one of the most strangest creatures. I mean, just look at that. That's making Danny homesick there.
The energy alone of those hills and glens, and then the energy of the water, the energy of the ley lines, it's
the
an
granite.
accumulation of everything right in that one spot. That's why he wanted that house so much. And then you had Led Zeppelin taking over it as well. They went there and wrote some of their music and things there and done a video, I do believe, there as well. So there's that energy there that helped them do their music. It would be great to see what it would be today if there wasn't the fire in it, to see what it would actually be.
Actually, I think I'll just remove that. Just bring that away. I think I've got a picture inside it with the new. There's no much left inside it now. I think this is the only picture inside what's left. This is the only bit with like
Is his
a
temple
roof that's
still
left.
there? His temple was built so that you could. The temple was built on the outskirts of the house with the door facing north, because he believed that the spirits would walk in themselves and then for the north, straight into the house. So that's why he built his temple looking north.
What I've been told and what I've found out is, right, you see there are two chimneys. They've been now. The bit of the roof at the chimney side here has been took off. They're slowly taking away all the rubble. And seemingly they're rebuilding it. They are going to rebuild it. But can you imagine the energy that'll be in there? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ken and some Americans, they'll probably turn that into a hotel.
It'll be a good. I mean, people come and think about it. All occultists that ever visit Scotland, even if they visited England, they'll want to see Crowley's house. So they could make it into a little museum. Obviously, they'll need to put up a lot of protection, and they'll need to do a lot of cleansings and things, I do believe, because there will be things on that land still. But I mean, it could be quite a successful tourist spot, especially for paranormal investigators, witches, occultists that want to understand it a little bit more. So we'll see what happens, but it should be interesting what they can all pick up in the area.
I mean, the castle's quite an interesting place. Let's talk about that now. I mean, that's the castle itself is obviously one of the most populous castles in the world because that's where all the tourists go, right? But little known that there's actually like tunnels underneath. What I've been told, fact checkers again, find out for yourselves, that there's meant to be tunnels underneath the castle. I mean, it's Ughart Castle. Oh my God, this is the fact checkers are going to get me in this one. Ughart. Oh my, do you kind of pronounce it? Ughart Castle. I think that's it. There. It's
Ughart Castle.
Ughart Castle. That's it.
Yeah, Ughart Castle.
Yeah.
But most castles have got an underground system into some sort of cave. That was so they could escape easily if this castle got invaded and things. So, I mean, there's definitely under most castles a cave system. And who's to say where they led? They could have led to castle to castle to castle for all anybody knows.
I mean, it's a beautiful castle. Look at that, the way the light's starting to set, the sun's setting. Danny in the chat there will be like homesick. He'll be sitting there the news. Damn it, Christopher. Shut
Don't worry,
up,
Danny. We'll walk up that wee bridge one day. We'll be on that one day.
Would you like to join us if you're a chat Facebook user? I'm going to put the link in the chat, and remember, if I don't know who you are, because I can see your face when you come in, you'll not be allowed to join, I'm afraid. You know, if you would like to come in.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to Paranormal United.
I know Danny's for Scotland.
Yeah. It's just amazing when you start.
We're going out to do.
All right. Okay. Oh goodness. It's just amazing when you start to research how much a part Crowley really did have to play on how
Oh,
occultism and things is still going strong to this day.
oh
I do
yeah.
believe he had a big part. Maybe not his religion as such, but a lot of spin-off religions for what he was getting told to him, is spinned off in a lot of different directions. So he was definitely a huge part in where we are today, especially in the
Mhm.
occult side of things.
I
He
mean,
was the first one that made us
yeah.
if you look at his teachings and his books, he's the one that made people realize that you could talk to the goddesses, that the
Mm.
pantheons and things that come along with the goddesses, like them as well. He put a lot of things together for a lot of people when they were trying to understand it all. So he had a huge part to play in occultism.
It makes you wonder. I mean, it makes you wonder, where is he right now, Mr. Crowley himself? Where is he? I mean, what did he find out when it was his time to cross over? I mean, just looking at this guy, he just looks so interesting. It makes you
I mean,
wonder what he knew.
there's a couple of pictures that you see him and he really is quite intense looking, and you can tell that he's either just had a download of something or he's tripping, because his face is just like pure.
Oh yeah, I did read
That's
that. I
one of them.
did take
There's
a look.
other ones as
Yeah,
well.
I did. I did research that last night. They did take a lot of illegal substances.
But he was out in a place and a time where talking about aliens and things wasn't
Yeah,
accepted yet. So
yeah,
a lot of his books and things are talking about it in a roundabout way. A lot of his teachings and things are talking about the higher beings and things, not necessarily just gods and goddesses. Them days, you would like to believe that's what it was, but if you go back over it with the inset in your mind that, wait a minute, this could also be ETs he's talking about.
oh
It's
yeah.
just that in those days he couldn't say it.
I mean, that's the thing, Drew. I was trying to research him last night. Right? I was researching him last night, and the ET side just kept popping up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god! And I says, obviously, I do the UFO stuff with Bald and Bonkers and stuff like that. And this is meant to be like, this is
I
just
know,
meant
a
to be
ghost show.
ghost stuff and stuff like that. And I'm all right, I'll block that away. And so I went and did this. I didn't down the rabbit hole. I went. So I was reading this on him and I was watching this video, and then this guy started talking about ETs, and I was like, oh no, I know this one. So I went to the next one, and then like 10, 15 minutes into it, the guy started talking about ETs again. I
It
think,
all intermingles, especially
yeah,
when they're talking about things that's trying to communicate with them and giving them this information that they want to
yeah,
be pushed out to the people of Earth,
yeah. I see. The thing is, right, Loch Ness, the area itself, the granite rock, the crystals that's in the rock and stuff like that, the ley lines, Loch Ness monster, whatever it is, right, Nessie. I need to keep a front there. I can't deny that it doesn't exist because I have to keep tourism coming in. I don't want Chester in Scotland with Nicola Sturgeon, but anyway, it's keep the tourism going. The energy that's there, there's something there, and whatever's causing the Loch Ness monster or whatever's causing the spirits, there's something. It's like Stonehenge. It's drawn. It's
Yeah,
drawn people there. I mean,
yeah,
I know quite a lot of like kind of ghost hunters and that've been on TV and that, and they've been there recently. And they felt weird.
right.
They felt weird. Have you noticed that everything's just sounded weird there all of a sudden?
I don't really know. I've not got headphones on now.
Do you know, guys in the chat? Do you know? Think that sounds weird?
Did something go change?
Aye, the volume's just changed. It sounds really
I think Uncle Danny's
enhanced.
coming up. Be on minute on. He's on his phone right now.
That's weird, that, because it's there. It's like slowly dying out now.
Can't
Guys
hear
in the
him.
chat, did you hear that, guys in the chat? Because that was it got really, really, really,
I'm
really strong
interested to
when I
pull
was.
it back.
It was like the volume got really, really loud, and it shouldn't, because I've got a soundboard now and stuff like that. It shouldn't have.
Shouldn't have.
And it's when I was getting right into it there where I was saying, oh, the energy, the ley lines, and there it's doing it again. That's weird, that. Is
I've not
this
even
Mr.
got any of my
Crowley?
equipment next to me. Well, my
Is this
equipment's
Mr.
packed away.
Well,
See,
it's
when you
only
start talking about these things, that gives them a doorway to start saying, right, well, yous are talking about what I've been trying to push out for these last
yeah.
15 years. You know, and
I'm
try
going to definitely research more into this because that's weird. That
there's so
when
much. There's spin-offs to the Illuminati. There's spin-offs to all. I mean,
there's Drew's
Satan. It's as
thing.
if he was put here. It was as if he was picked to be the one to push out the message that there is definitely more to this earth after
Of
he
course,
get back to Cairo
yeah,
or wherever it was in Egypt. And he really is a prophet because he was always told he was going to be a prophet, but he really has been a prophet if you look at him that way, because way back when he was trying to push out the message, there was so many people just try to shut him down and go against him and things, much like these days when people mention certain subjects. But he really was against the grain, so people just labelled him cuckoo and strange.
Yeah. But I'll tell you something, Drew. I'm very impressed with you, Drew, tonight. What do you think, everybody in the chat? I think Drew's done an excellent job tonight. It's a shame Dakota couldn't have been here. That would have been really good. But that with the chat was weird. It just got really loud. As I was going on about the energies and the ley lines, it was getting louder and it was getting louder and it was getting louder. And then when I stopped, it just went brrr. And actually, I was not alone. So in the chat here, Designer Dreams. Designer heard it too. That was quite interesting. I'm going to listen back to this after the live because I'm wondering if there's maybe EVP there. I don't know. Maybe Aleister Crowley himself, because I mean it's only an hour away until Thursday.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's the fact that it's 75 years tomorrow. I mean, really, in an hour's time that he died. I mean, that could be something.
That's
Didn't get the. I mean, I know he was a bit evil because he did do a lot of bad things, but he was the one
he
that
did some bad stuff,
people.
right? Yes, he did bad stuff, right? But Summies, when he first started out, he started to encounter these things. I mean, was it these things that made him do these things? Was he possessed? See, this is
Well,
when you've been doing the line of like murderers and stuff like that. Could he be possessed? And when he died,
his
he was
wife
freed.
as well, though. I mean, his wife was the one that was channeling these beings. His wife got to the stage where the beings were talking through her when they had like the seances and things, and it's really interesting. You would really need to do your own research and really get into it, guys, because see the minute you start talking about it, there's so many different roads down it that you would have to pick a subject and talk about that subject, and then next week maybe pick another subject to do with Crowley and talk about it, because it goes down so many different avenues. It's crazy.
I mean, I'm just looking at them on Google now. I can't show them because of copyright issues and stuff like that. Because you have to get permission for your stuff and that. But anyway, I'm looking at one of the new in Wikipedia, and it's Aleister Crowley standing. He's dressed. He's dressed like somebody you would get in a tomb in a pyramid. He's got the what do you call it? The people in the pyramids, the Egyptians wore.
The headdress thing.
And his wife's standing there, and his wife's standing right next to him. Oh, that's creepy. That is really creepy. That's so interesting. And I think we need to go to that location. What do you think, guys, in the chat? Do you think we should go to Aleister Crowley's house and investigate?
Awas was the being that was supposed to channel through to tell her. Awas was the being.
Yeah, that's the picture that I've got. That's the picture. This is him. This is who channeled through him.
That's Awas.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like an extraterrestrial. Weird that he's got something wrong with him. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with looking like that. I mean,
if you think about it as well, what's the pyramids and things? Why did people go there? They went there to do a lot of the time, especially way back in his day, to find enlightenment, to find where their true self was, if you like, to get a bit of much like all the other places they go to find a true connection. So he obviously did go to these places, that place, and find a true connection.
Yeah. I find it interesting that because I think Sherry in the chat, she'll probably agree with me here. There's ETs out there, there is extraterrestrials that look exactly like that.
Like him.
And I mean exactly like that.
Well, there you
And
go.
that makes you wonder, is that who he was encountering? And then maybe after the visitation from them, maybe they were visiting Loch Ness, who knows?
Well, that's probably why he wanted to stay up there. He wanted probably to stay up there because it was out the road. ETs are probably more than anybody realises are seen more than ever up there because there's nobody about. It isn't one of the parts of Loch Ness and things where there's not many other towns or anything. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Thank you, Dobby.
So he probably did want that location because it had everything that he needed to communicate easier with who he needed to.
There's Dobby Sock, headdress, fez. That's what the Egyptian kings and all that. The pharaohs would wear, you know. But it's actually quite spooky seeing that picture there because that's I've seen, like, obviously I know people that do UFO stuff and they've brought their books out and there's pictures exactly like that. And it makes you wonder, who is he in contact with? Maybe at the start, Drew. Maybe at the start, he started out on the good side and he started talking to these ETs and that, and it made him feel special. And then he maybe thought to himself, I'm going to dabble a wee bit in
That's
the
definitely
occult.
what happened. They opened the doorway to darker beings.
You think about it, if they were making him feel really powerful and the people round about him were worshipping him, it'd feel like a god. Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. And he must have had money because he bought that big house and things.
Yes.
He could travel back and forward. So he obviously was rich.
Well, he did. Yeah, he did.
And I don't think his books would have got him that much money.
His mother and father were very wealthy. What was told. Yeah, and I think that's where he got the inheritance from. But you think about it, if you're an occult leader, right, you're going to get money for your members, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's obviously what he was doing in the big house. Daniel.
Hey, Danny.
Welcome, Uncle.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
How are you?
Oh, we're
You okay?
I think there's a bit of a delay.
Like that.
Well, he's got his Scottish Tammy on today.
Scottish Tammy on.
Yeah. He's bun
it. So Danny, you're the perfect person to ask this. What's your opinion on Aleister Crowley? What is your opinion on him?
I don't like him.
No, do many other folk. But what do you think he was? What do you think he was in contact with at the start, or?
Oh, I think he was probably in contact with the seven sins. To be honest, I think. I think the first demon he contacted was actually the demon of lust of the seven sins.
Right.
I think he got in touch with the big boy. Okay.
Right.
Just judging by each step he took. At first it was that. It was all about self pleasure, you know.
Yeah.
And then it got to greed, which is another demon of greed.
Yeah.
Right. And then from greed, it came accusations. From accusations, it went to manipulation. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he just got into that groove of the seven lines of demonology. There's basically 7 lines, right? Well, he got into the main line, which is all about self and self-gathering, self-worth, self-manipulation, manipulation of others, in order to achieve anything monetary, like anything that would bring you power, right? So I believe those are all the things that he started with. That's not necessarily where he ended, but
Right.
that's basically was his
Yeah.
starting point, was greed, you know.
Do you think that land at where his house was, do you think that the house burnt down deliberately, or do you think someone deliberately did it because they knew what happened there and they were trying to destroy the evidence and stuff like that? Or do you think that there is still dark energies there?
I think what happened there tainted everything.
Yeah.
It tainted the land, it tainted the ley lines, it tainted everything. Okay.
Yeah.
The goddess of nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
She gets pissed. When she gets pissed, she you know, she's one of these bipolar goddesses. Okay.
Oh yeah.
When you crossed her enough, she strikes back, right? I think it was a natural lightning strike, could have been anything, caused it, but I don't think it was by accident. I think it was by design.
Yeah.
Right? I think it was a purification process where Mother Earth said, okay, I'm going to burn this shit out of my soil.
Yeah.
Right? But that's just my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there's a thing in the natural world and there's a thing in the spiritual world of balance. Now, this place got destroyed, but Hellfire's Club got opened up in 2 other locations, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The moment that and I suspect if you chase back to where the barracks were when they opened up the Hellfire under the chapel, is right around the exact same time that building caught on fire. What an amazing coincidence!
Probably.
That is.
Yep.
What an amazing coincidence, you know.
First fit Hellfire Club, basically it was.
Right, and I think basically even magics is all about balance. Okay, any magic, no matter what your magic is, whether it's Satanism, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's witchcraft, Druidism, shamanship, it's all about balance. If there's no balance, there's no power. The power doesn't come by chaos. The power comes from the balance of chaos.
Yeah.
The power doesn't come by peace. It comes by the balance of peace.
Yes.
Right? So the whole damn system has a balance.
Yeah.
Now people will say, oh, I feel all this negative shit coming, right? Of course you do. Because of the balance, right?
Yeah.
And then other times say, oh, I think I'm going to be in for a good year this year. Well, of course you do, because of the balance.
The
right?
balance.
If the balance is off one way or the other, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel if it's going to be something good coming up. You're going to feel something bad's coming up, because it's a part of our being, even ourselves. Okay, even you have to be balanced.
Yes.
Right? Which sadly you're not lately. We'll talk about that later. But you,
who is he talking to?
Even as humans, we have to be balanced, right? We gotta balance every decision. We balance everything we do. We balance every step we take. Everything has. We think of both sides of every situation before we make a decision, right? Yeah. And we have to. That has to be balanced with who we are. We have to say, yeah, okay, I can accept this, or I can't accept this, right? Or I can live with this, or I can't live with this, right?
Yeah.
So even if you just look at it from a singular point of view of yourself, like if you let's pretend we're all arrogant and we're all you know, whatever. Let's pretend that for a minute, right? So now, if it doesn't flow with us, we basically call it garbage and we toss it away.
Yeah.
Right? It's garbage. Don't believe in that bullshit, or this is no good. It's garbage, right? But if it goes with us, if it goes with our way of thinking, our way of being, our morals, our self-important views of the world, if it goes with what we want, then it's an acceptable thing.
Yeah.
Right? So again, if we as individuals have to be balanced, what makes you think that we're the ones doing that? It's a universal thing.
Yeah.
Right? The universe demands balance of project, purpose, and chaos. It demands that both are present, both are equal to each other. But inside that, the plan part has to be balanced. So does the chaos.
Yes.
Chaos isn't so chaotic as you think. Chaos is derived by planning. Okay, we want this to happen, this to happen, this to happen. Okay, but if this happens, we got to make sure this happens over here. So even in chaos, it has to be balanced, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think happened there. I think balance is not that way.
I think he definitely chewed off a lot and took a lot of guidance for a lot of other people. I don't know if Crowley could have maybe got to a stage books would have made a lot more sense. Like nowadays, if they were wrote, I think they would have made a lot more sense. You know, now.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind too. Here's the one thing that I always try to keep in mind for my own studies. Okay, is when you're doing any studying, you always seem to approach it from, well, my point of view is this, and from the way I think this is what this is, right? Which is necessary. Okay, that's a necessary thing. But what's more important is you've got to put yourself into the time that the book was written.
Yes.
Right? Because what it meant then doesn't necessarily mean what it meant. Like, for instance, if we wrote down on a piece of paper a common expression, okay? Okay. So to give an example what I mean by time in books. If we wrote down today, it's raining cats and dogs outside, right?
Yeah.
We all know what that means, right? It makes sense. And 1,000 years from now, someone grabs that book and takes it literal.
Like it read cat and
dogs. Raining cats and dogs, right? Like, what the hell? Right? Can't be possible, right? But it was an expression of the time, right?
Yeah.
Now that's just a fun way of looking at it. But we say it's raining cats and dogs. Everybody knows what it means. 1,000 years from now, they're not going to have a clue what that means, right?
Well, no.
So when they read the sentence, "It was raining cats and dogs outside," they're going to be scratching their heads and going, "What the hell?" Right? So, so when you're reading these older texts and ancient texts and all this stuff, you've got to understand what was the concept of the time. What was common tongue? You know, like what was common tongue? For example, and this has got nothing to do, I'm going to clarify this right now. This has nothing to do with anything in any religious books, period. Okay?
Right.
But as you know, in the Highlands, okay, 200 years ago, okay, 300 years ago, if you said, he was caught in the belly of a whale, it meant damn well that he was a stowaway in the bottom of a big vessel, in the bottom of a ship. Right? He was in the belly of the whale, that bastard. Yeah. Meant that he was hiding, he was a stowaway in a boat. Right? So, a person was stuck in the belly of a whale meant he was in the bottom of a boat. Right? Yeah. Changes the whole complexity of a sentence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, this is about understanding the common tongue of the time. Now, the reason I say this has nothing to do with religious books is I'm talking about different stories from different books that you already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I have no idea what back then, right? Back then, they probably didn't even know what the halibut was. So, but the point of the matter is you gotta try to remember too when reading these old texts that really a lot of it seems like That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't, because you don't know what the common tongue was.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
you've got to relate it to nowadays. I do
That's-
believe that the Egyptians started a lot, that we start going back to a lot of the things that they practiced and recognising where they play in our world, because everything seems to point back to Egyptians. It's crazy. The pyramids.
I think so in a lot of ways. Like the Egyptian is a huge culture, right? Like the Egyptians do a lot of role in a lot of things, but I don't think it ties everything together like everybody else does. Like, I don't believe in this one
Is
conspiracy.
it because they maybe documented it? They documented everything on their wall.
Well, you know, they documented, they pictographed, they really paid attention to their own history more so than other countries do, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But that's not to say that everything's related. For instance, again, you got to use commonality, right? Like there's a lot of things that everybody can say, well, yeah, that was Egyptian, but it wasn't just Egyptian.
Oh no, there was other. Yeah, there was.
Like it wasn't just Egyptian. Like bread and a scone, okay, a scone, bannock, pita slice, white loaf. That's all bread, right?
Yeah.
And it's bread from all different parts of the world.
Different ways.
Right? It's all different. I'll tell you what, my grandmother in Scotland did not phone the Native Americans and tell them how to make scones. Yeah. Yet they got banned. Right? It's the same damn thing. Okay.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time, though. It was only a matter of time before the Native Americans in America, before America was founded, would come up with that with the same ingredients. Yeah, I mean, it's like.
So basically, what I'm saying is, what that means is, I do believe that, yeah, the Egyptians had their thing, right? Scotland has its thing. Ireland has its thing. Canada has its thing. United States has its, and it's their own separate thing, right?
Yes.
And so much of it, okay, is intertwined together. People don't even realize, right? The simple fact that every country in the world made some form of bread all by themselves without any help from any other country, okay? Because it wasn't even a telephone line then. Everybody else every country in the world made bread of some sort, yes?
Yes. Yeah. No.
Did Egypt affect that? No. Did Ireland affect it?
I think it's because everybody that went to Egypt came back in awe of the place, isn't it? So a lot of the books and things are when people came back from Egypt and Cairo and seen the pyramids, that's when they had their awakening.
Yes,
it seems to point down that direction.
Yes, but it's even bigger than that, because all these things are not accident, right? Why, beyond that, why is it every country in the world knew how to make bread? Why? Simple question.
It's instinct. Mother Nature.
Why? Yeah, why does every country in the world have a deity or deity? Why?
I see where you're going with this.
Because we all need guidance.
Because it's about balance. It all goes back to balance. Without that, where would balance even begin? Right? So it stands to reason. It stands to reason, in my opinion, this chaos of how everybody in every world and every country come up with all these inventions on their own that are pretty much the same as everybody else is really not chaos. It's by design.
It's by
exactly. It's the way it's supposed to be.
It's the way it has to be for balance.
Yeah.
The universe will balance itself out all the time, every time. Mother Nature is always going to win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter matter what you do, what you build, what you put in its path.
Yeah.
Once
That'll
Mother
move
Meat
up.
is done with it and pissed off with it, it's gone. Whether
Oh,
a
God.
flood, whether it's struck by lightning, whether it's overtaken by a jungle, it's gone.
Or even
Yeah.
or even time. I mean, you think about it. You get the sun. It's only got a lifespan. It's only got a lifespan of what, another 9 billion years. Eventually, that sun's going to burn out. The Earth's
Yeah.
got to be consumed and
And
destroyed.
I'll bet you
Galaxy
a
will
dollar to a
disappear.
donut. I'll bet you a dollar to a donut
Hmm.
that the first star closest to that sun, okay, when
Mhm.
that sun decides to ignite and explodes, balance is going to explode the next star beside it to light up.
Another galaxy.
Right. To make it balance it.
Yeah.
That candle's going to blow out. Of course it is.
Just keep
Right?
going.
But when your candle on your altar blows out, what do? You put another
another.
You
candle,
really like it.
right? What do you think? Nature's stupid?
The galaxy eventually die, right?
Yeah.
But a new galaxy will be born.
Poof, out of the explosion from the old one.
Yeah.
And when that sun blows up, it's going to be hot. Okay? It's not going to blow up cold, right?
Mm.
All that heat is going to hit a neighboring star. What do you think that star is going to do? It's going to ignite.
Yeah.
It has no choice. 50 billion degrees of lava landing on the star. It's going to light up the surface just a little bit, right?
See, that proves then that Mother Nature was trying to take out Crowley's house then, because if she's got like that in her to use fire to replenish, then obviously that's what she was trying to do with Crowley's house, was set it in fire to get rid of all that negative energy and things and replenish it, if you like. I do believe that now that I've thought of that that's what it's been trying to do. That's where it obviously came.
Yeah, when land has been tainted, okay,
Yeah.
to the point that nothing earthly wants or godly or nothing wants anything to do with it. When it's tainted that bad, it's got to be cleansed before it can be revamped or reshaped or re-energized.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Same with the human soul. How the hell do you think twisted humans get to be?
Yeah.
Right? That human soul has to be so tainted and so twisted before they're dead, right? That no other realm or spirit wants anything to do with them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're so twisted, they haven't been cleansed. So there's two choices. Either there's got to be a way for them to get cleansed, or they get twisted more and become dominant dark spirits. And I'm not talking demons, I'm talking human beings. Right?
Yeah.
Because they've blackened their soul so much that it repulses every other thing. Right? That much repulse twists. Right? So the spirit becomes twisted.
Before we run out of time, because I can save this for 5 minutes. Oh, she's went and touched her laptop again, Danny. Every time she touches it in a certain way, it unplugs. She'll be back. But a question for you. Say we've got 5 minutes left. What do you think is so special about Loch Ness? Why do you think it's got so much energy there? Do you think there is a creature, or my idea it might be the spirit of a dinosaur? Again, that sounds crazy, but what is crazy now? I mean, people believe in aliens, people believe in spirits. I mean, it's what do you think is there, and why is it so strong?
Well, first of all, I think it's a lot of the energy itself of the land. Okay, I think the land is so infused with energy. 17 ley lines cross through there for one. You've got your minerals, your gems, you got water, I mean, the place is just supercharged in the first place without anything else, right? Well, let's look at the Loch Ness monster. Okay, this is just one point of view of billions, right? But let's just say it's an animal.
Yeah.
Right? It's just an animal. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, partridge or pheasant, You go hunting pheasants, you go hunting partridge, they're stupider than hell. Okay?
Yeah.
They're dumb. I mean, they are so stupid, right? But they're not so stupid that one of them walks into the open while the others sneak off to the side and fly away. Right? When there's danger. Right? This is a pheasant. Okay? The brain of a pheasant is half the size of one single pea. But it's smart enough to know when there's danger, one will go out and be the decoy, while the other 30 fly away.
Yeah.
Right? Let's look at Loch Ness. The brain is the size of a Volkswagen. Okay?
Yeah.
Here's all the crafts coming. Here's all this other stuff coming. Why not just swim away to a cave or swim out to the ocean or whatever? Like what? I'm going to sit here and wait for my picture to be taken?
Yeah.
I've seen what these fishermen do to a fish, right?
Yeah.
I've seen them take the fish out of the water and cut their heads off. I'm not going to stick around. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Even if I'm just an animal, animals are taught by where they live, by their environment. Now, if you're a simple animal and you see the same shit every day, you're not going to do that. If you take an aquarium in your house and you put a piece of glass halfway divided and you put fish on one side and you leave the glass there, okay? You can try this experiment anytime you want. Put a piece of glass halfway across your aquarium. Leave it for a month. Take the glass out. Those fish will never swim past where that glass is.
Because
right? They'll never go past where that glass is. Because they know damn well they get their faces mushed against the glass. Right?
Every time.
They won't even approach it anymore. They'll stay on that side of the tank. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
If you're a creature in the water and you see everything happen every time, and when this certain noise happens, your neighbors disappear, are you going to hang around or are you going to swim off into a cave?
I'm going to swim off into a cave.
Swim off. Aye.
Right? I'm not going to stick around.
Let's stay there.
But here's an interesting.
So even if it's just an animal, okay, even if it's just an animal, right? Hey, there's a good reason you can't find it, because it ain't stupid, right?
No.
And not only
I
that,
don't think that
hey,
going
not
to
only
come up.
Sasquatch, okay, is the grandmaster of hide and seek, okay? Sasquatch is the master of hide and seek.
Oh yeah.
Him and Nessie are friends, so they taught each other how to hide from humans.
Better believe that. See, I think maybe Nessie doesn't need to come to the surface. I think it's maybe one of those creatures can live underneath the ground, the water, and doesn't have to come up. You know.
Well, I don't think it has to come up for water.
It's an interesting fact.
And I think if it does, it's like a whale. It can be down for like a day before it has to come up, right?
Yeah, it can hold.
But I think
it can hold
a string off from a dinosaur. I honestly think it's like some type of platypus or some damn sort of thing. Something that's millions of years old, right? Everybody thinks it's extinct. You understand that if something's extinct, it means there's 5,000 or less left alive.
See?
Yeah.
I mean, some of those caves could have air in them as well, where they can actually have air underneath, like say this like a cavern type of thing.
Well, there's a definite correlation, because all these caves, no cave is like a tunnel, right? There's lots of high spots, lots of low spots, right? The tide comes in on high tide, it fills the cave up. When low tide comes out, water still has to be water and still follow out, right? So all these high spots get emptied. Once they're emptied, who says they get filled back up again?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it is possible that there's underwater caves, and there is. I mean, I scuba dive a lot. I found a lot of caves where there's big caverns where there's no water, right? And
That's right.
And then there's a lot of caves where there's nothing but water, right? So
I've seen the I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's like these divers, and that's what they do. Is they do cave diving, and they explore
I've
new
done it.
caves, and they'll swim into a cave. Have you actually done it? They'll swim in, and they'll find a cavern, even though there's water above them. There's this cavern because of the pressure, and you can come.
Well, I've gone
You can
to
take
I've
off
gone
your
to
boots, you
one
can breathe.
place. Yeah, I've gone to one place where it was about 3/4 of a mile in this cave. When you got there,
Yeah.
it was like I don't know, about the size of a small school of an opening.
Yeah.
There was a flat surface you get on. There was glyphs, hieroglyphs and stuff like that written on the walls and carved in stone and all this shit. Like it was like people lived, right? And then again, on the other side, it went back down and you could go further. And I have no idea where it went. I mean, I wasn't planning on a 17-day exploration, right? But for all I know, that cave went right through to the next island. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because you got to remember all the volcanic flow that was under the earth,
lava tubes. Yeah.
all these lava tubes and everything else that made all these caves throughout the world are all connected. They all started from one great big volcano in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, who knows where all these under caves go? They can go anywhere, out to the ocean, out to the sea, anywhere, right? Nobody knows. And no one ever will. I mean, I think it's 12% of the ocean has been explored. That means there's
exactly a percentage.
There's 88%.
The species as well. There's only a percentage of species know about an ocean. You know,
like when you think about it, that's 88% of the oceans where there could be 100 Nessies.
Exactly, and the ocean is where we get our energy, and where life flow from and things. There's so much on the ocean that you don't realise about. I'd love to be one of those biologists.
I would just like to quickly say before the end of the show, we've got 2 minutes and keep it up for 2 minutes. There's somebody come in, he's called Christopher A. James. I don't know who you are, bud. I don't know who you are, so I can't let you in because I don't know who you are. You're below us, so I don't know who you are.
58% of the Earth itself hasn't been explored yet. Well, of course, all the jungles and all this other shit. No human being recorded has ever stepped on over 58% of our soil. Never mind the oceans, which is 3 times more than land. Right? 58% of our planet's soil hasn't been touched by human foot.
Yeah.
So who the hell can say what's
Evie says, in Australia we have plants that can only reproduce by fire and others that only reproduce by floods. Yep. Wow.
See, that's nature. It's coming back to nature and balance again, isn't it?
It all comes back to the balance of nature, yeah. You piss off Mother Nature, you're in for a world war. You know what I mean? Which indirect results goes to my religion or my belief of the elementals, right?
Yeah.
It all becomes together into one. If do I got time to tell a fairy tale of a child? Do I got 2-3 minutes or no?
When you go. Okay, get them.
Right. The elemental story, the basic of elemental story, the 5 elementals. Now, a lot of people say there's 4, and a lot of people say there's 6, whatever. Anyway, the 5 elemental story from my system. Okay. First, there was fire. Fire is the first elemental, right?
Yes.
Some people call it the sun. Let's call it the sun. Why not? Anyway, there was fire, which exploded. Right? Chunks went flying. As those chunks cooled down, they became another elemental, right? Earth. Right? So Earth was then made. The Earth was steaming hot still, though, which caused condensations, which presented the third elemental of water coming down. The water then brought forth wood, trees, and grass, and all that stuff, which then created oxygen or air.
That's right.
Right? And the air, right? Those are the 5 elementals, the true first 5 elementals. The oldest of the
crazy when you think about that.
Okay.
One leads on to the other.
Those are the oldest of the elementals, right?
Yeah.
Now, from an elemental point of view, let's say from a fire elemental like Astro's point of view, okay?
Yeah.
Well, if you ask Astro about demons, he kind of goes and walks away from you. Okay? Considering that the fire elemental was here 300 million years before the first demon was created, probably doesn't sweat it much, right?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's basically all about nature and balance and everything else again, right? Everything has its purpose, and everything has a purpose, everything has a reason for being, everything is necessary to be, even you, even me, right?
Yeah.
We all have a purpose, and we may never know what that purpose is. Maybe that purpose is just for that one time you were walking through the store and you seen someone with their head down and you said, "Hey, how's it going?" and showed that little tiny bit of interest, which stopped that person from committing suicide that day because they thought no one saw them. Right? Maybe that was
so true. Yeah.
Right?
Because
your purpose is to live. Simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and do your best.
When you die, you cross over, and then you can stay there as long as you want. But then you have to come back again, and the cycle continues just forever.
Yeah.
You know, that's above my pay grade, dude.
Yeah. But here's a question. I've got a question for you, Danny. Before I go, I don't want to piss off Astro. Where did Astro come from?
What?
Where did Astro come from? Where did they come from? Who created them?
I don't even think Astro knows that.
So he doesn't know. So he just poofed into existence one day.
As far as Astro,
he's an elemental.
He's an elemental. He has no idea. He can take whatever form, shape, whatever. When I met him, when I first met him, I was 4 or 5 years old, and he was sitting up in a tree. In the form of a gargoyle, and I called him a butthead for laughing at me, and then we've been friends ever since. But that's all I know of his. Like he does, I don't even think he knows when he was first born.
I'm just thinking because
he'll be an energy that forms as a.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if
he'll be an energy, something that you recognise.
Right, it's like if he knows if energies are older than him.
Oh yeah, he says there's 2 energies he doesn't argue with, right? And I said, what 2 energies are that, right? And he looked at me, he kind of grinned. He says, well, one that you'd call God and the other one you'd call death.
Yeah.
He says,
wow.
I just do what they say, right?
Yeah.
So basically what he's saying is there's always, in his word, in his way of thinking, there's always someone that's better than you, so shut your mouth. You know what I mean? Like, be respectful to everyone. Because there's always someone better than you. You know what I mean? Like, you're not always the kid on the block, in other words, right? Like, he's... Yeah. You know, that's
makes
his
sense, though.
That's his way of saying there's always someone you got to answer to eventually.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm no doubt when our time comes and we have to cross into the veil, we'll have to answer to somebody for stuff we've done and things like that, and then we'll have to whatever, you know.
I think that was his. I think that was his way of saying eventually we all got to answer, or we all got to ask what's our next step, right? Like, what do we do next? Like, it's going to come a time.
Yeah.
We answer to somebody, or we got to ask, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But We'll have to do a special show in this because it's the end of the hour. Went over the hour, 1 hour 25 minutes. My God, where does time to go? So I'll say cheerio to everybody in the chat, and Danny and Drew, thank you so much for coming. And next week I've not picked a location, but I'll think of something good. I'll talk to you behind the scenes, Danny, and you too, Drew. So everybody have a great week, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Oh, and real quickly, the views come out of my mouth have absolutely nothing to do with this channel. Okay, that's my shit. Okay, not his.
That's fine. It's fine. You can see what you want. Right, catch you later. See you, dudes.
Bye, everybody.